Tucked away in the Florida Panhandle, in the quiet town of Marianna, stand the crumbling remains of a reform school that promised discipline and redemption, but instead delivered something far more disturbing to many of the young men trapped there. Today we visit the Arthur G. Dozier School for Boys, opened way back in 1900. This place was designed to help troubled and wayward youth and set them straight. Now, it's worth noting that not all boys who landed here were troubled. Some were orphans or runaways. Now, the school focused on discipline, and instructors taught trades like carpentry, masonry, and especially agriculture out here in this rural location. From the outside, it looked like an ideal program. When not in school, the young men had cookouts, played on sports teams, and could participate in other extracurricular activities. But behind the scenes, when the cameras weren't rolling, a much darker reality was unfolding. You see, as time wore on, former students began to come forward with harrowing accounts, especially from a time period during the 1950s and 60s, stories of relentless beatings, solitary confinement, and forced labor. The worst abuse happened in a small white building. This place was known among the boys as the White House, a building seemingly built solely as a place for brutal punishment. Roger Kaiser, a young boy at the school in the 50s, told NPR that he saw one boy die in a bathtub that had been beaten half to death. He thought he'd been mauled by dogs. Kaiser also said another dead boy came out of an industrial dryer. As more men came forward, the school finally closed in 2011 and forensic investigators took over. They found at least 100 children had died at the Florida School for Boys over the years, unmarked graves littering the property. Many of the families who were told their boys escaped and had just gone missing instead learned that their sons, brothers, and cousins had been brutally murdered by staff decades ago. Today, a memorial to the boys' suffering stands outside the White House, and the state of Florida is paying reparations to the families of these boys who were trapped, abused, and victims of forced labor. Yeah, that's a novel concept, isn't it? Now, while survivors are continuing to speak out, they are also getting older, and many have passed away. And it's almost certain that the full truth of what happened at the Dozier School still hasn't been told. And for those boys who never made it out, whose futures were robbed from them by insignificant and cowardly men in positions of power, those boys' stories never will be told. We can only hope they are resting in peace. Thank you so much for watching Beyond Florida.